I have Hannah here from Simpla Workflows, and we're going to be doing a deep dive on Trello. Now, I love Trello. I use it all day long, so this is going to be a session where I'm hoping to learn some extra tips and tricks. I'm sure I'm going to get some. And I also am really happy that we're going to share this really great tool with you. It's not only great for collaboration, it's good for organization. There's so many features, and I'll let Hannah get into that. Now, just as a reminder, you can ask Hannah questions by dropping them into the comments section, Q&A function, or chat function throughout the session. Now, I know a lot of you folks have been tuning in with us on our social media pages, and I just want to remind you that if that is you, make sure that you're still registering to digitalboost.co.nz, because you're missing out on special offers, competitions that we run, and all of the other great content that we have on site that's bite-sized. So get yourself registered so you can be a part of our Digital Boost team or our tribe, I guess. So welcome, Hannah. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh, thanks so much, Anna Marie. I'm so happy to be here and excited to talk to everyone about Trello.
Yes, this is going to be cool. Now, I know you've got a lot in store for us, so I'm going to turn off my video, let you get started, and make sure everything's running in the background.
That's great. Thanks so much. All right, so I'll just go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. So you should be able to see my screen now.
Yep.
So great.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, thanks so much for everyone for joining today. I'm really excited to be a part of this Digital Boost initiative. It's so amazing what you guys are doing, and I'm really excited to talk about Trello and talk about how you can use Trello to help manage your business, your team, your personal tasks. So before we jump in, I'll just give you a bit of an intro into me and Simpla Workflows and what we're all about. So my name is Hannah Morgan, and I am the founder of Simpla Workflows. So Simpla Workflows, we don't own Trello. Trello is not a product of ours. What we do is Trello consulting. So we work with businesses all around the world, and we help them get set up in Trello, but we also do consulting in a range of different other work management tools like Trello. So we're not just limited to Trello consulting. So we help companies get set up in Trello, get them trained, get it implemented into their business to help them collaborate better, especially now that a lot of companies are working with distributed teams or hybrid teams. So Trello is just a really great tool to collaborate with team members on cross-functional projects, or just stay on top of your personal tasks. So let's jump straight in. So first off, I'll just cover off who this webinar is going to be valuable for. So who's it targeted towards? So you may never have heard of Trello, so that's great. We'll be going over the basics today. You may have heard of Trello, and you just want to learn more, or maybe you're already using Trello in your business and you're just wanting to find out how you can use it a bit better. So in terms of the types of personas who can get value out of this, so you might be a business owner or a manager or an executive, and you're just struggling with a bit of visibility or transparency into the work that's being done across your business or your team, and you're just dealing with a lot of communication breakdown. So that's a big issue. You might be an individual that's maybe using a tool, or you're not using any tools at all. So you're just looking for a new solution to help manage your business or your tasks or your team. Or, it could just benefit anyone who is just spending way too much time emailing, calling, or scheduling lots of meetings to get updates from your team. So this Trello can really benefit anyone. So it doesn't matter on your industry or like what kind of company you are. So you don't necessarily have to be an office worker, or you don't have to have all of your team in front of a computer. So it can really benefit any company, really. So you don't have to be, a remote company or mainly using computers. So as long as you're managing projects or jobs or tasks, or even people or clients or contacts, Trello can really benefit anyone. So first off, I'll just jump into what we're going to talk about today. So first off, I'll talk about why use a digital tool to begin with. So why is it beneficial? Why could it be beneficial to use a workflow management tool to manage your work in the first place? And then I'll dive into what is Trello. So just covering the basics of Trello to start with, and why Trello as well. So there are so many different digital tools out there. So why might Trello be a good solution for you and your business? And then lastly, I'm going to actually share my screen and give you a tour of Trello as well. So I'll give you a full walkthrough of, signing up to Trello for the first time, all the way through to creating your first board and getting set up as well. So it's going to be a real kind of training session. So feel free to just ask any questions throughout today. Feel free to just jump in and interrupt. I'm happy to be interrupted and answer your questions as I go through this webinar. So starting off with the why. So why use a digital tool to manage your work? You might be thinking, well, pen and pad works absolutely fine for me. I get all my tasks done, and I don't need a tool, an online tool to do my work. So, and that might be fine, and that's all well and good. And sometimes I like working on bits of paper, and it can really help to write things down sometimes. And that's all well and good if it's just your personal tasks. But as soon as it comes to cross-team collaboration, or you might be doing some work that's dependent on others' work, or maybe you're just a manager and you need that visibility, that's when it can become an issue. So if you're in a business, there's so many businesses out there that don't use a single work management tool for their company or their team. And when that happens, individuals tend to use their own methods. So whether that's a pen and pad, or using an Excel spreadsheet, or using their own little task management tool on their computer. And when that happens, what that's going to cause is silos across the business and misalignment as well. So that's a big issue. Another one is around time wasted. So, if there's all of that information spread out across different places, a lot of time is wasted trying to find the important information and having to manually duplicate that work across different systems. So a lot of time wasted. And another issue with not having a digital tool to manage your team, your team's work, a big problem with that is getting stuck in the weeds. So, if you don't have an easy way for your team to plan and prioritize their work, what happens is people tend to spend their day just putting out fires and working on those little, when they do have the time to do tasks, they tend to do the quick wins. So the little small rocks that don't necessarily contribute to growing the business. So having a tool to better prioritize and plan work, it's easier to have that visibility into the bigger picture and how your work's contributing to a shared common goal across your team or the business. And lastly, deadlines slip through the cracks. So, if you're getting action items sent to you by maybe email, or people are calling you to ask you to do things, or maybe in a meeting, someone verbally asks you to do something, gives you a task, or you're writing things on bits of paper, all of these tasks are going to be spread out over all these different places. And you don't have a nice, easy single source of truth to easily manage your workload. So things are naturally just going to get missed off and won't get done to the quality to what you need, or they just won't get done at all. So that's a big issue. So quite a few challenges there that a lot of companies face when they're not using a digital tool at all to manage their work. And with that, the consequences are real. So a few interesting facts here that I'll read out. So the first one here around time wasted. So the average office worker, they spend over 3 hours completing mundane work like repetitive tasks or sending project updates to stakeholders, doing data entry, all of that annoying sort of time-consuming work. So 3 hours a day doing that. And if you're a team of, a company, reasonably small to medium-sized business of 10 people, they're collectively wasting 150 hours each week. So heaps of time wasted doing that work where they should be doing work that's directly contributing to the growth of the business. Another one here around unalignment or misalignment. So 78% of workers who are considered unaligned don't feel empowered to make business decisions. So that's a big one around misalignment. And then lastly, around more transparency or visibility, a growing proportion of managers reported feeling like they don't know what their team is working on. So lots of big issues there when you're not using an easy way to manage your work using a digital tool. Okay, so that's all well and good, but what about Trello? What is Trello anyway? Now, Trello is a collaboration tool that organizes your projects or your jobs or tasks into boards. So in one glance, Trello can tell you what is being worked on, who is working on what, and where something is in a process. So Trello is a super flexible tool, and you can really make it how you want. So a board could represent many things. A board could be a place to manage a big project in your company. It could be a board could be a place to manage lots of little projects within a team. You can use a board to onboard a new employee. It could be a repository to store company information or resources. You can create a board as a CRM as well, which is really cool. So you can have it as a sort of sales pipeline. It can be a good place to plan and share company goals, so like high-level milestones. And you can also use it for personal purposes as well. So it can be a place to store recipes and do meal planning, a place to plan a holiday or a party. So really what I'm trying to say is that Trello is just a very flexible tool, and it isn't just limited to professional project management. So you can really use it for a multitude of different use cases. So that's the basics there. In terms of what Trello looks like, so this is a sort of quick visual here of what a Trello board looks like. And if you were to imagine what a Trello board looks like, imagine a sort of digital whiteboard. And then imagine that whiteboard filled with lots of lists of sticky notes or post-it notes. And then each of those post-it notes is a task for you and your team. And then imagine each of those sticky notes has things like photos. You can link from other data sources like Dropbox or your CRM like Salesforce. You can attach PDFs or Excel spreadsheets, and it's really a place to just comment and collaborate with your teammates. So you can almost imagine it, excuse me, like a sort of like a digital workspace. So if you're wanting to, say transition to a remote company or hybrid company, or you've already been working remote for a while, you can almost act as a sort of digital office in a way. So everyone's able to, see what work's being done across the different teams, what tasks your team are working on, the status of those things, and you can comment and communicate with your teammates within those boards as well. So that's a little visual there. And then imagine you can take that whiteboard anywhere you go. So it's Trello has an app for your phone or your tablet, and you can access it from any computer through the web. And that's Trello. So now, before we jump into looking at what Trello looks like, I'll just quickly touch on why Trello. So like I said, there are a lot of other work management tools out there. So why might Trello be the best tool for your business? So like I said, if your team is newly remote and you're wanting to introduce a new tool, so maybe you don't have a tool yet, or you're maybe using an outdated method, Trello is a great place to start. The learning curve isn't very steep, so it's easy to get your team set up quickly and working and communicating seamlessly in Trello. So it doesn't take too long. From an individual user perspective, Trello is super intuitive, so it's really easy to adopt. You might have a range of people in your company with different levels of technical aptitude, so you're a bit worried about adoption and the people actually using it on a day-to-day basis. So like I said, the learning curve is not steep at all, so anyone can really use it. It's really easy to use. From a usability standpoint as well, it's really flexible when it comes to managing projects or jobs, and that can be whether you're at a desk or you're on the go. So if you have a company where you might have people on the road that are out and about doing jobs or meeting with clients, Trello's mobile app or on the tablet is one of the better project management like apps for your phone. It's really, really simple and easy to use. So that's another benefit. And then, once the team is set up in Trello and using it, less time can be spent sending those emails to get status updates, holding meetings, and more time can be spent doing the important work like growing your business. So that's the sort of why Trello. Now, I might just pause here if there are any sort of questions so far. I don't want to speed through too quickly.
Right. So we did have a comment from Laura, and it was just a little bit of her journey with Trello. And I thought this was cool how she uses it. It says, I use Trello to organize the info I collect on my competitors and what they're doing. And then went in a form of screenshots, and then it organizes it into service, platform, and season. I love it. Yeah, that's a great way to store that data and then be able to create your lists and cards so that you can come back to it. So thanks for sharing that, Laura. And I'll just jump over onto the other platforms and make sure I haven't missed anybody's comments there. But it looks like we're all good, folks tuning in from all over the place. So thanks so much, Anna.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome way to use Trello actually as a sort of database in a way. So like keeping important information. So if you're doing research or like customer research and you want to be tracking that and analyzing that information and having just an easy way to come back to it, Trello can also be used as a repository to store that information. So yeah, that's a great way to use it. Okay, so jumping into Trello now. Now, there are 3 ways you can access Trello. So you can access it from their web app, from just opening your browser and going to Trello.com. You can download it on your phone through the Apple Store or Google Play. So the Trello app's free on your phone, or you can download the desktop app on your computer, on your PC. So if you're getting started with Trello and you're wanting to introduce it to your team and bring more people in and have them use it, the downloadable version on your computer is a really great way to start. And one of the reasons why is because you can pin it to your taskbar. So it's just like another application on your toolbar at the bottom of your computer. So it's always there and you can see it and you can open it and access it easily. And you'll also get desktop notifications with the desktop app as well. So, those toaster pop-ups, if you get someone asks you a question or, app mentions you or you get assigned a new task, you'll get those pop-ups on your computer if you're using the desktop app. So that can be downloaded through Microsoft Store or the Apple Store on your computer. So I'll just go into the web app just because that's easy. So we can just go to Trello.com and I'll walk you through the whole process of getting set up. So for those of you who have never seen Trello before, so I'll walk you through the whole end-to-end process of signing up for a new account so you can really see what that looks like. all the way through to creating a board and going over the components of what a board is. So just going to Trello.com. If you don't have an account, you'll be prompted to either sign up or log in if you already have one. So let's sign up with a new account. So I'm just going to add like a sort of dummy email here. So we can just enter in our email address and sign up. And we'll just follow through the steps here. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, actually, I'll just confirm my email address so we can get in here. So we'll just see now an email from Atlassian, and then it'll prompt us to put in our name and password. So let me just put in a little password here. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, Trello is going to prompt us to do, is to set up a new workspace. So this is your first workspace, and a workspace really is a place to contain your different boards. So you can almost imagine it like a folder and a way to organize your work. So you might want to have a workspace for your business-related boards, another workspace for maybe personal work. And, if you're maybe working across multiple companies, you might have another workspace for other companies you work for or work with. So workspace usually would be, your company name or maybe your team name. So we can just hit continue there. And now it's going to ask you to try Trello, the premium version, which is the paid version of Trello, the trial. So if you want to trial that, you can. But what Trello has is actually a freemium plan. So they have a fully free version of Trello that's available. And that plan is, it doesn't have a limit on it. So it's not like a trial. You can have the free plan forever. So if you're new to Trello, I recommend starting with the free plan. And what I'll show you today is all of the features that are available on the free plan. So if you're wanting to pilot Trello, a good place to start is with the freemium plan. And you might find that it's actually more than enough, just the free version. Or maybe there are a couple features you want to upgrade for, but a lot of people just use the free version. That's absolutely fine. So you can either start the trial or just take me to Trello to start with a free plan.
Now, we had a question come in here. Hannah, do you mind if we pop that in here while you're doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So it says, I run accountability groups. How would Trello work for these?
For what, sorry?
Accountability groups. So I guess maybe a little bit of it. Does that, when you say accountability groups, does that mean you manage the tasks that your team has, or is this like the type of service that you offer? Maybe a bit more clarity. Oh, and I can see that the field is naturopath, so it could possibly be that they are groups that are run with a service focus, and so maybe organizing information for your people, using it a little bit as a CRM might be that. So maybe just a bit, here we go. No, it's a service type thing. It's a group that they join and pay for and set goals. Oh, okay. What do you think, Hannah? If you had a number of people in there setting goals, they need to set goals and do all of that. Would you recommend Trello? Or
yeah, definitely. From like a strategic sort of perspective, do you mean like planning and talking about like high level objectives and goals within that sort of group?
Well, I could kind of see it being used in two ways. One, everybody in the group could have their own Trello board, which they could share with just you, so that you have access to it and they have access to it and no one else does, where you could set goals, and as they achieve those goals, they can move the cards over, which would be quite rewarding in that sense.
Yeah.
And then as perhaps if there was a group goal, then you could do a Trello board where everybody has access to that. If that would be on like the front end, on the back end of administration, I guess it would be great to kind of keep a record of where your clients are in their journey, so that you can, that would be just for you, where you could just write in some notes. And this is how I work with lots of organizations now. I kind of say, oh, what was the last conversation I had with them? I jot in some notes. And then that way, next time I come back to it, it automatically timestamps what I've done, and I don't have to think about that. So I can go, oh, right, I just talked to them 3 days ago. Sometimes 3 days can seem like 3 weeks, can't it?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great from a note taking and just keeping all your thoughts in one place. But yeah, no, I like the idea with the different boards per group, and we'll jump into that in a second, actually, in terms of, you know, what a board can represent and how you can organize that. One way to do it is having like a board for each sort of data set. So if you have, you know, you're working in squads or groups, or, you know, just teams, you might want to have a board per group. And that way, you know, the information in each one is relevant for the group. I'm actually going to share some boards at the end that I've already created. So one of them is actually around OKRs, so objectives and key results, and planning those kind of goals and working on them, and, you know, updating the status so everyone can kind of collaborate together. So that might be helpful for you to see.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that question as well. That was a great question.
Yeah, definitely jump in if anyone else has any other kind of use case questions. You know, can I use Trello for this or that, or how would you set it up for this purpose? So I'll just go ahead and walk through creating a basic board. So we've created our workspace now. So this is our sort of company workspace. And the first step is creating a board. So you can have multiple boards within your workspace. On the free plan, you can have 10 boards per workspace. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're on a paid plan, there's an unlimited amount, but you can have multiple workspaces on the free plan. So if you wanted to split out, you know, if you have more than 10 boards, and you could maybe have a workspace for each department or something like that, that could be an option. So in this case, we just have one for all the company, and the idea is all the company boards will exist in this workspace. So let's go ahead and create a new board. So the first thing is just adding a board title. What's the name of the board? So just a descriptive name here for what the board purpose is. So let's create a board to start with. Let's do like a sort of personal workspace. So this is going to be a board to contain all of the things that I'm working on, all my projects, my milestones, KPIs, all the little tasks and things I need to do on a day-to-day basis as well. So I'm just going to call it personal to-do board. And this is actually a great way to start using Trello if you're new to Trello and you're wanting to look at maybe introducing it to others in your team or a company in the future. A good place to start is just use it for yourself. Don't bring anyone else in just yet. Just use it for your own personal work to start with, and just get familiar with it and comfortable and confident with Trello so you can understand how you can use it and how your other teams can use it and benefit from it. So this is a good place to sort of start a basic personal board. So great. So we've got the board title. We can pick a nice background if we want to. There's, you know, a color or photos you can pick from. And down the bottom here, you'll see the option we can either create it from scratch, and that'll allow us to, we'll just have basically an empty board to start with, or you can start with a template. So Trello has a template library, which is a really great way to get some inspiration. So if you're like, okay, I want to use Trello for this purpose, you know, but I have no idea where to start. So the template library, it's a good place to have a browse around and get some ideas for how to lay out and organize your board. So, but today I'll just start from scratch so we can really go through the basics. And so this is our board here, our Trello board that's just been created, and Trello's just added some lists in here to do doing and done. These things here are lists, and they've just kind of added that in there to prompt us on, you know, an idea for how to lay out this board. Now, to do doing and done, that's a basic way of organizing a board using a sort of Kanban method. So to do, you know, all the cards that haven't started yet, go under this list. Doing is anything that's work has started goes there, and then, done, move it to done once it's fully complete. So the lists really are just a way to sort of organize the cards within the board. You don't have to, you're not limited to these lists here. So they're fully customizable. You can rename them, you can remove them, you can move them around. So it's fully flexible and customizable depending on how you want to organize it. So these lists could be represented in ways like categorizing your cards. So maybe you have a list of things for, let's say Q1 goals go under one list, and you have another list that's Q2 goals, or, that's another example. Or maybe you have a list for each of your teams, or a list for each project. So there's so many ways you can organize it. But for this purpose, it's a personal to-do board. So I'm going to lay it out in a way, this is kind of actually how I manage my work. So like I said, on this board, I'm going to have a mix of things like the big rocks on here, like the big projects and milestones that I'm working on. So I'm actually going to have a list here for that. So projects and milestones are going to live under this list here. I'm going to have another list here for today, and that's going to contain all my little tasks that I need to do today. I'm going to create one here called this week, and another one for later, and done. And then I might just have one last one that's going to be future projects or ideas. So it's going to be like a sort of brain dump for me. So the idea is that this list here is going to contain cards that are sort of like the way that I organize things is quarterly. So I'll have, just the short term big milestones that I want to achieve for this quarter. So the idea is I'm going to put those there. But I want to also make sure that I'm capturing any sort of future big projects or big goals that I want to work on in a future quarter later in the year. So I want to keep them here, but I don't need to look at them every day. So these are going to just stay here in that list. So the next step is adding our cards to our board. So this is the most important part, are our cards. Like I was saying before, the sticky notes or the post-it notes, that's what a card is. Card is the proper terminology, but the cards in the board can represent different things. So in this case, this board is for projects and tasks. So a card is going to represent an individual project or an individual task. So let's start adding some cards here. So for projects and milestones, let's say we have a new marketing strategy that we need to work on. So that's one project. Another project, let's say we need to do a website revamp. That's a big project. And we might just do one more. Let's say we need to do I'm going to just redo my business plan because it's been a while. So we're going to look at it doing a new version of it. So those are my three big things that I'm going to be working on this quarter. So I want to keep them front of mind, and they're just going to stay in that list there. So they're going to just stay static. And then what I'm going to do in these lists here to the right, I'm going to add all my little, daily tasks that I need to work on. And these are the ones that are going to be moving between these different lists, depending on when I need to work on it and if it's still ongoing or if it's complete. So let's start adding some little things here. So let's say I need to send a proposal. Proposal to customer X. Maybe I have a meeting with a client. I have maybe like an end of month reporting, some internal work. And I need to also do some reconciling in Xero because I always leave that to the last minute. So that's my task for today. So the idea is that the way I'm going to organize this is I'll try and just focus my day on those four things. So I'll just put in, let's say each thing takes an hour. So that's 4 hours of work there. And the rest of the time, maybe I have 4 hours or 3 hours worth of meetings. So I'm just kind of putting in whatever, time, or like depending on the effort of the tasks. I'll just keep it to that. So it's a realistic amount of tasks that I can complete based on my capacity for today. And I'll just really focus on those things. So in between meetings, that's going to be my main focus for today. And then we can add some other things that are coming up, say this week. So let's say, okay, we're working on a marketing strategy. So we're meeting with a marketing mentor later in the week. And website revamp, we're going to look at new website platform. And a business plan redo, let's say we're meeting with a strategy consultant. So there's a few things coming up this week. And then later on, let's say we have a blog post we're doing and a video recording as well. So, so those are a few cards there we have on the board now. So that's great. So we can start sort of moving things around. Now, the great thing about Trello is it's super tactile. So it's kind of taking the method of putting Post-it notes on a wall and picking them up and moving them around. So you can literally just click and drag and move things. You know, if it's done, we move it over to done. So it's nice and tactile and easy to use. So those are the basics of the card. Now, we might want to add a bit more information to the card to help us understand what needs to be done and by when. So if we just click on a card, it's going to open up the back of the card, and that allows us to add more information. So description, a few basics here, you know, add more information to add more context around what needs to be done, what needs to be delivered here. So you can add a description. Members are a way to, you could use it to assign cards. So if this is a shared team board, you might want to use members to clearly define who is owning what task or what project. Labels are a great way to categorize your cards. So you might want to use labels to categorize the type of card, you know, if it's a project or a task, or maybe it's a bug or an issue, depending on how you're using Trello. Or you can use it to communicate things like status or priorities. So let's say we have a red priority label that we want to apply to cards to help us, you know, as a visual cue to just focus our energy on that, those red priority cards first. Checklists are great for breaking the task down further. So if we want to clearly communicate, say if this is a larger task or like a small project or something, and there's a lot of little steps involved with getting this done. Checklists are a great way to break things down further. So you can add individual checklist items here to help you understand all the steps you need to take to complete that larger task or project. So checklists are great, especially if you're collaborating on this. So say, you know, this is a project, this card here, or a big milestone. You're the main person that's owning that or responsible for that project, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing all the work, right? So you might have other people that are, you know, accountable for some work, or you need to consult with some other people, or they have a couple little tasks they need to do. So checklists are a great way to sort of make it clear on, you know, who needs to do what. Okay, maybe task A needs to be assigned to someone else, so someone else is doing that step. So you can actually assign checklist items to others. So you can see here, you can add a little an assignee, and that is a part of the paid plan. So just FYI, you won't have that on the free plan, but just so you know, that is a feature that's available. Just finishing off here, the contents of the card, dates. You know, when does this thing need to be done by, the due date? When does it need to be delivered? Attachments, so we can add files from our computer. So you can add images or documents to the card. You can attach things from other data sources as well. So if you use like Google Drive or Dropbox, at like a shared drive, you can link those files to the card. So that's really great. And that's attachments. And then lastly, comments. Comments are a great way to keep notes. So like what Anna Marie was saying before, you know, if this card is like, you know, let's say the card is a client. The card represents like a client project or something, or maybe a client we're working on, it's a prospect or something like that. That has potential to be a customer. So you might have meetings with that prospect or lead on, or, if it's a client project, you're meeting with the customer, and you want to just make sure you have a place to keep notes as things change, or you have updates, as things evolve. So notes, comments can be used for notes, or if you're collaborating with others, you can use comments to ping or @mention other people. So, if you want to be like, hey, FYI, this is blocked because of XYZ, just kind of an extra way to keep up the communication. So that's a really great way to collaborate through comments. So yeah, that's really the basics of the card there. So yeah, the idea is that, with this particular board design, we would move things to done as things get worked on. And let's just say, I'm super productive and I did all my tasks for today. So that's awesome. And then, at the end of today or the beginning of the next day, we would look at our cards on the board and prioritize what we want to work on for the next day. So, let's say these have dates here. We have a due date of tomorrow for both of these meetings. So let's just say tomorrow is going to be a big meeting day. So we can just kind of move things in based on the due dates or priorities. So that's a basic sort of personal to-do board. Now, I think that's enough for this particular example. I'm going to move on to some other board examples, but I just thought I'd pause quickly if there were any questions at all.
I think we're all good so far. I'll just jump over, have a look. Yep, we're good to go. Thanks.
Nice. So, yeah, they're pretty basic example for personal use. So yeah, great way to start simple. It's one example of how to lay out a board. Now, here's some examples of more sort of built out like team boards or like shared company boards. So here's an example of a board that's been used to track and plan and collaborate on projects across different teams within a company. So kind of an example of, before I was saying you might want to have a board per department or per group or per squad in your company. But if you're wanting like a nice, easy way to see everything in one place, because maybe there's some cross-team collaboration going on, there's some overlap maybe between these different teams or groups, one way to organize it is just have everything in one board and use things like labels to categorize what card is being owned by what team. So here I have labels for content, design, and website, the different teams here. And we can use labels to filter. So it's like, okay, maybe I'm in the design team and I just want to be looking at the design cards. So think about labels in a way where you can easily, like if you need to filter and just look into specific cards, that's a really great way to use labels. So this is a sort of shared one. Yeah, lots of different teamwork that's happening here. And each of the lists is a sort of like a workflow, right? So it's all of the steps that need to be done for from end to end, from a new project all the way through to complete at the end. So as you can see here, there's also some cards with images on the front. So that's really cool if you are doing more visual work, like you can attach photos or images or even GIFs to cards as well. So you can really make it a visual board if you need to. So that's a more built out board there. Now, another way I'll just quickly show you to visualize this board, because you might be thinking this is quite cluttered and there's lots of information on here, especially if everyone in the company is using it. It's going to be quite overwhelming. Another great way to visualize your work is in the calendar view. So this is a calendar add-on to the board, and it allows us to see the work in a schedule view. So if you're, like using Trello as a content calendar, or, you're overseeing multiple teams and you just want to understand what's going to be delivered this month or what's going to be delivered this week. This is a great way to just sort of hone in on what's coming up. So that's the calendar view there. We can see it on a monthly view and a weekly view as well. So If we just want to focus on one particular week, what's expected this week, that calendar view is really great. A couple other quick examples, and I think we can wrap up. So here's another one, OKRs, like I was saying before, for like goal setting, objectives and key results. The way that this is organized is that each list represents an objective. So that's how all the cards have been organized, and all of the cards underneath can be projects that, or like initiatives that relate to those objectives. So that's one way to organize a board for more goal planning, goal setting, and execution. And then, once it's done, it goes to done, and you can have lists to report on completed projects from previous quarters as well. So that's a sort of OKR board. Another one is meetings. So if you're having recurring meetings with, let's say, your team, or maybe you have an executive committee that you're meeting with on a regular basis, you can use Trello to record meeting notes, actions that come out of those meetings, a way to track those sort of like more strategic type long-term projects. So that's one way to use a board. Lastly, from a more sort of repository use, so kind of similar to what someone was saying earlier, a place to kind of keep information. So this is an example of using it as a sort of catalog. So if you're creating content like blog posts or webinars or videos, this is a really great visual way to capture that information in one easy place so that people can easily find it and share that those links with others from one single board. So that's a few examples there. So really just scratching the surface with Trello today. It really is the basics. There's so much you can do with Trello. You can integrate it with your emails, your calendar, and other platforms as well. So I'll keep it to that for now. I won't go too in depth. So I'll just jump back into our slide here. We can sort of wrap up. So yeah, if you're interested to learn more, maybe you want to talk about your particular use case in a little bit more detail, and you want to find out, if Trello is a good fit for you, or, how I might be able to help in terms of training or implementation, you're welcome to book a free call via our website, simplaworkflows.com, or you can email me at hannah@simplaworkflows.com as well. And, if you're interested but not quite ready yet to commit, I've got another webinar coming up in a month or so, and it's going to be more use case specific. So I'm going to be talking about how to use Trello as a CRM. So using it as like a place to track your contacts or like a sales pipeline. I'm going to be going really in depth in how to build out a CRM in Trello. So that's going to be really fun. So that's it.
That was awesome. And actually, Lara pointed out something that I didn't realize it as either. I haven't been using the calendar feature. The digital marketing calendar will be very organized and easy now. Brilliant, she said. Indeed. I never used that feature. I'm going to have a look at that.
By the way, it's a free power up. So cool. If you'll see in the top of your board a power up button, top right hand corner. If you click on that, you can search through all the power ups. They're like add-ons. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. The calendar power up is a Trello owned like add-on, so you can just add it to your board for free. There's no additional cost. So that's a cool little feature.
Fantastic. And we've got a question here from Cam. It says, hi, can Trello automatically notify me by email when a new card has been added to a list or updated?
Yes, definitely. So with that, you can turn on notifications with Trello. So if you see in the top right-hand corner of your Trello board, you have this little bell notification, and you can turn on email notifications. So you can have them send instantly as soon as you get a card assigned to you, or maybe a card that you're following has a change, like someone comments on it or changes the status. You can either get emails immediately if you want to get that notification as soon as it happens. By default, it'll just be batched periodically. So there's yeah, you can definitely turn on email notifications for that purpose. Desktop as well, like I was saying, if you have the desktop Trello app, you'll get the toaster pop-ups as well, which is another way to stay on top of any changes.
Poster pop-ups, funny.
Yes.
So there's a question here from Lee. It says, does it have more complex functionality? Question. We currently use, is it Accelo, ACCELO? It is on par. Is it on par with that level of information storage and tracking? Are you familiar with that platform? I'm not actually. So.
Hello, no, I've never heard of it. Is there like a particular feature of Trello that you're interested in if Trello does? There are different views. Right now we're looking at the Kanban view, we looked at calendar view, but you also have Gantt charts and timeline views.
So I guess this is a CRM system is what I'm
Oh.
seeing here. So it is a different, I think of Trello as more of an organizational and collaborative tool, whereas a CRM system is more like your customer relationship management kind of tool, but maybe you would disagree. You're more of an expert on this than me.
Yeah, well, I've definitely worked with customers that have used CRMs, Trello as a CRM. So using it is great if you're not quite ready to commit to like a more hefty CRM like HubSpot or Salesforce. So it can be used for that purpose, where each card represents a contact, and you can have contact information inside the card. You can add things like custom fields to capture emails, contact details, phone number, any important information on the customer. And lists could represent the different stages that they're at if you're using it as a sort of sales pipeline or customer success sort of pipeline. And it's not like a fully fledged CRM. Like you said, Anna Maria, it's not designed as a CRM, but you can definitely use it for that purpose, more from like a sort of tracking and task management perspective. So if you're wanting to sort of have an easy solution to almost like project manage your customers and collaborate with others on those customers. So maybe, let's say you're working, and this is what I'll talk about a little bit more in the next session, Trello as a CRM, we'll go more in depth. Yeah. But, let's say you're working on a prospect or a lead, and it's moving through the pipeline. Maybe at certain stages, you need legal to come in and do something. Trello is a great way from like a collaboration perspective. Whereas things like HubSpot and Salesforce, they're not geared for project management. So the task management side of it's not great. So we see a lot of people using Trello as the sort of CRM from a tracking task management perspective, but they might still have a CRM for like emails and like a database type thing. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, there's a follow-up comment here, and that'll tie into kind of what you've said. And I hope I'm pronouncing this app correctly. I'm pronouncing it as Accelo. Maybe it's Accelo. I'm not sure. It says allows us to quote inside and then convert it to projects and with tasks. So, I'm not aware that you can do quoting through Trello, but yeah, maybe you can speak to that. But it might be that you need a little bit more functionality with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, well, I think actually Trello integrates with Xero. So if you use like a financial tool like Xero for creating quotes and invoices and things like that, I haven't actually explored that too much. I know there's an integration there, and if not, then things like Zapier might help. So, when something happens in Trello, then a quote is, automatically generated in a tool like Xero or something like that. So typically, yeah, it won't be like an all-in-one solution. You might have to use like stacks, like a tool stack, and then just integrate them together. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great solutions. Thank you so much. A comment and a question here. Thank you so much for today. Such useful information. I will now be making changes to my boards. I learned a lot. Looking forward to your CRM webinar. Where do I find the power up button on the mobile app?
Mobile app. Yes. So let me just bring up, I've got my phone next to me. There is some power-ups on the Trello app, but not every power-up will be on there. And not every power-up is supported in Trello. Let me show you what it looks like on mobile. I'll see if I can share my screen.
Yeah, you might have to stop share and then share.
I can share my phone. I don't know if that works.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh,
But I'm
okay.
looking at I'm in dark mode on my phone, so it looks a bit strange.
Maybe
But
what you should do is stop your share so that you're bigger, because you're
oh yes, good
picture
point.
right now. So
Good
stop
point.
your share. I thought you were going to put your phone up, but yeah, that would probably be,
Not
oh
the
wait, just
best.
tap your screen because it's
Oh
gone
yeah,
black.
there we
There
go.
you go. Okay,
So
now.
I don't know if you can see that very well, but top right hand corner, or
Uh-huh.
you'll see power ups there.
Okay. Look, this is like analog digital. I love it. That's
And you'll
great.
see there are a few power ups, but not all of them are available on the mobile version. So you've got the calendar one there, card aging. That's a really cool one to like help show you stagnant cards. It's another free one. So they start turning like changing, like going more transparent, or they start getting like an old like pirate color like as they get older.
Can
Or
you
like
do that? Can you do that again? Can you go back to the screen, the original screen again, and then just tilt down slightly because your ring light? Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
it's
Yeah,
just
that's it. Okay,
in the
so the
top
top
right.
right-hand corner, click on the three dots and then scroll down and you'll see the power up option. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 option down. Click on power ups and then go ahead and click. And then that takes you and you can turn those on by just hitting the button on the right. It will turn green probably, I'm assuming. And then that will add that to what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. She's found it. Fantastic. Now, thanks for the tip on the desktop app. Didn't know one was there. Yes, indeed. Me neither. I'm going to be updating my app after this. So it looks like we've got all of our questions managed here on Zoom, and I will just double check with YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and we're good to go there as well. So thank you so much, Hannah. This has been super informative. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to having you on again on the 16th of March, you said. Was that great? Yeah.
Very excited.
Yeah, easy to follow. Yeah, so we love that because we want to walk away and be able to do it ourselves. So thank you.
Yeah, I hope this has given you, some people some actions from this. Some ideas for how you can go away and try out Trello for your particular use case. And yeah, I mean, if you're interested to learn more, like I said, CRM, Trello is a CRM, and 16th of March. Put it in your calendar.
Put it in your calendar, RSVP, that would be a really great way so that you get a reminder email if you're on digitalboost.co.nz. If you go down to the events after you've signed in, you can just look up the event, click the X, and it'll sign you up. And then you should get a notification saying, hey, your event's coming up. Especially if you've got the app, Digital Boost Live app, you should be getting app notifications on there as well. And just getting some awesome, thanks for this session, just some real positive feedback on your session. Thanks again. It was awesome.
Hey, thanks everyone.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow, and ka kite.